when you get in the ice bath, basically your dopamine is spiking up to 500%. And so over time, you do start doing this consistently, your baseline level of dopamine flowing through your body is increasing. So you literally physiologically becoming a different person.
I mean, that's insane. Yeah. Just from an ice bath. Dean Robinson is the co-founder of Dunk. What started as a simple idea that came to him while lying in his bed has now been transformed into a company revolutionizing the cold plunge industry in South Africa. Today, Dunk is not just trusted by wellness enthusiasts, but also by elite athletes. Now, Dean's story is one of exciting highs and challenging lows, but also how consistent hard work can pay off.
That I'm hearing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit to get used to, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, and also we somewhat change it, like in post, we make it more clear, like it's not the final product, what you hear now.
Yeah.
But I, just before you came, I took a ice bath.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice, dude.
I tried to make a habit of it before my guests arrive. I do an ice bath.
Okay, epic, bro.
The only thing is it took 20 bags of ice. And a trolley full of ice, put it in my bath and had an ice bath. That's not that sustainable. I mean, I must have spent over 300 Rand for that. 5 minutes.
Dude, you literally live next door to an ice bath.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not that cold. It's like what, 14 degrees, 13 degrees?
I've had, so some of my best friends live really close by, and they literally come and surf and bodyboard here.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I come to Cape Town, I stay with them. They stay Bloberg side. I don't know what the mall's called. And we've been here one morning. It was like warm, like let's say 14 degrees. And then we came literally the next morning and it was bitterly cold. And I couldn't believe how the temperature changed in literally overnight. So they say that varies between 10 and 14. But flip, that one morning was cold, man. It was just intense.
When you take ice baths, what is the temperature you usually?
I like to have us at 6
degrees.
6.
Okay.
What have you done?
The coldest I've ever been. So first of all, I will put this out there. I'm not actually that familiar with ice baths like Dunk.
Yeah.
Have I ever been in an actual ice bath like that? I don't think I have. The coldest I've ever done was when I was living in Germany. It was winter, and I believe the outside temperature was probably around 3 degrees, and the lake was 3 degrees. And I was in there, I think, for like 2 minutes or so. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
But man, it hurt. And then since then, like the ice baths I make here with the ice from Pick and Pay, what is it? I think the coldest I got it was like 5 degrees.
You need a lot of ice.
I know. It's not like, I understand why you've built Dunk, because like it just doesn't work. I was actually thinking what could be a cool promotion for you guys is like showing because I took a short video of myself the whole trip.
Oh, nice.
It's a mission, man. Like you go down. Okay, I stay close to Pick and Pay, so it's easier.
Yeah.
But like, take a video of the process of getting 20 bags of ice, putting in the trolley, missioning home, cutting the bags open, pouring it in the bath, checking how much it costs, you know.
Well, that's the thing. The whole thing, it needs to be convenient. And as you've experienced with ice baths, is like, it's such an amazing feeling. But if you're not doing it regularly, if it's a one-hit wonder, like ice is fine if it's a one-hit wonder or once every month or 2 months, then go the ice route. But if you want to do it regularly, like, it's not sustainable. You're spending 300 Rand a pop.
Yeah,
and not even that. It's more probably 40-45 minutes of your time. Go down, buy ice, put it in your car. You don't have to get in your car, luckily. Put it in your car, unpack the 16 bags of ice, come back home, drip the ice on the way there, cut it open. Now you've got 16 packets to get rid of. It's not sustainable. You'd probably do it once. And that's where we came up with Dunk, is you need it to be as convenient as possible, controlled on your app. The water cleans itself, so you're not filling and draining the thing the whole time. Then you're saving water once off. You're saving money on ice. So it depends on how often you do it, but it's a super expensive product with Dunk, like really expensive. But work out the payback in terms of how often you do it. It's actually not that bad. You pay the thing off in just over a year.
First of all, what were you doing before Dunk?
So completely different. So my business partner and I, we were consultants for mining companies.
Okay.
So we built like financial models, and I was more the finance side, and he is a QS. And then we worked, my main client was in the Congo, and just going back and forth from the Congo and building financial models and Excels and desktop work and stuff like that. Then he was doing cold showers, Wim Hof. I don't know if you've heard of Wim Hof. Yeah. So he was doing that thing, like cold shower routes. I'd loved my training, and I've come from like an athlete background. And then I said to, his name's Roelof, and I said to Roel, I was like, I will never forget the moment. I was sitting in my bed at like 11 o'clock at night, and literally it was like just a moment that passed by, and I thought, flip, we must build one. Messaged Roelof straight away, and it took him 5 minutes, and he replied yes. And then we went to the office the next day, went into the boardroom, and we just started planning as to what the thing was going to look like, and the speed at which it, because I firmly believe in momentum. Like, if you get on something, you need to keep the momentum going, and the speed at which we went from the idea to getting something was insane. And obviously it took like 6 months of reiterations and refinements and bringing stuff in. So, and then trying to balance a normal job on top of that. So we designed this thing, and he built the filter system, and the Dunk started. Jeepers, if I show you a few pictures, literally like a bathtub and a bucket.
You can show if you've got them.
Yeah.
Feel free. Like it's interesting because so you were just lying in bed, and then the idea came to you.
Yeah, I'll never forget, because I was thinking of getting like a chest freezer.
Yes,
and
there are some oaks doing that. Yeah,
there's a ton of guys doing that. And with the chest freezer, I thought, okay, first I need to. That was actually like one of the first chest freezers that came out. See those sort of. It looks pretty good, but it's
professional.
It's a chest freezer.
Yeah. Painted.
Yep.
I guess.
Painted chest freezer. So, jeepers.
And we can also, if you're okay with sharing this later, I can also, you can send these to me and I can put them in post.
So that was the first Dunk. A bathtub with hose pipes and coming out of buckets.
So that's the filtration system, yeah?
I don't even think there's a filtration in there yet. It's connected to a tiny chiller that we brought in.
Oh, the water flows through the chiller.
And the chiller, but the chiller is probably, I'm trying to think what to compare it to. It's like the size of a small bed light lamp.
Is it the chiller, the black thing?
Yeah, it's tiny, teeny tiny.
It looks huge to me. I don't. In the bucket.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that looks tiny.
And we started that. And so that was the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got in my second Dunk, or my first Dunk, and I just completely lost control of my body. Like, it was at 4 degrees.
Oh, serious?
And then we got. So, like, I've been doing it. I used to play cricket, so I used to do it after cricket matches and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay.
But it was typical ice thing, in the ice bucket route.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got into this one with that tiny chiller, hose pipes coming out of buckets, and I just couldn't control myself. And I just thought, like, in my head, I thought, I'm staying in here for 3 minutes no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I just come back from the Congo, like, just flew in that morning, and Roelof just said, it's an experience, like, it's cold, because it was at 3-4 degrees.
Okay,
and,
so he was building this thing, and he said to you, like, you've got to try this thing out because it's amazing.
So the bathtub is my dad's in the bathroom business.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought a bathtub from his company, put it down. Roelof connected the chiller. Now I arrived, and he said, "Dude, it's hectic." So I get in there, and I just shook, like I couldn't control. And I said to Roelof, I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting out, but this is intense.
Yeah.
And when we get, as you experience, it's like a euphoric feeling. And as soon as we got out and started, and it was raining, and I remember standing on his driveway, And I said, dude, this is going to work. Like this feeling, everyone needs to experience it, because people haven't had that experience with their body going through something like that, unless you put yourself through extreme cold conditions. Like it's just a unique experience where my mind was saying stay in, and my body thought I was going to die. So it's a complete mind versus body battle, and that was very cool to experience. And that's what I try get across to everyone when I try to sell it to them.
So like, people who've not tried it before.
Exactly. It's I mean, honestly, 90% of the people who try it who are thinking about buying it, if I get them in it and they get that feeling, they'll buy it. Because it's a complete addiction, a good addiction, as you know.
So what I'm trying to understand though, you get the idea to do this. You've had some experience with ice bathing in your past due to being an athlete, and you get this idea to build an ice bath, right?
Yeah.
Now, and you contact I would imagine he's also a good friend of yours, Roelof?
Yeah, good friend. We literally sat opposite each other at work.
Okay. So you contact him and you tell him the idea. He's on board with the idea. Have you guys got entrepreneurship background, first of all, or have you always been in the corporate world?
So I've just had lots of ideas. My dad's and my grandpa's been entrepreneurs, and I've always wanted to go that route. I've never figured out what. I've had a fitness journal that I've come up with, which was a bit of a flop. Learned from that.
Like a blog?
Like more to track your results, like your training results. And
so like an app?
That was the flaw. It was 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Right.
But it was a booklet where you managed, because I found people or everyone in our gym, because I used to be a coach, like a CrossFit coach, and everyone used to write down their results and stuff like that. So more like a manual.
Right.
thing.
Right.
Then I realized it should have been an app. So that thing flopped, but it was at least gave it a go. But learn to do your research. But that was the first instance of where I thought, and you'll experience this as well, where you have an idea and suddenly you put it together and there's actually like a physical thing in front of you. And that blew my mind. How you had a thought and it's in front of you and now it's an actual thing. And that was the first taste of like entrepreneurship. With it was, wow, you can really do whatever you put your mind to.
Okay, so you have had some experience with entrepreneurship in the past. So you have this idea, you're lying in bed, you speak to your colleague and friend, and he agrees. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yep.
What made you think it would work? Like, what gave you the confidence? Did you use any methodology to test the market or validate your idea? Or did you just believe in the product that it would be good enough?
Honestly, it was that first ice bath. Like when we got out of that thing and we started doing it every day for the next 5 days. And that was in May last year. So yeah, almost a year ago. That feeling, we were like, okay, it needs to work, because there wasn't anything in South Africa at that stage.
How did you figure that out though? Like, how did you find out that there was nothing in South Africa?
Because we wanted one out for ourselves. We wanted one for ourselves first off, and then we saw there was nothing. And that's basically entrepreneurship, right? Identifying a gap, seeing a problem and figuring out a solution. And I think timing is also massive. And the fact that that idea popped up in that specific time, where we just thought, okay, we're going to make the best thing possible. And then also analyzing like the international market, because I feel South Africa is about 7 years behind, 6-7 years behind the rest of the world, in America and Europe. And then it is coming, it's in South Africa now.
Yeah, and they, like, America's got, I think, quite a well-established ice bath market, and also brands, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So you Googled, like, for an ice bath in South Africa, and you couldn't find anything?
Absolutely nothing, yeah.
And
then we like, oh, flip, let's put it out there. And it took a few months of refinement, because, and then you get to a stage where, and I'm sure you're at it now, where, flip, should we release it? Should we not release it? Are we ready? Are we not ready? You're never going to be ready. And we just put our first iteration out there. It was a different shape to what we have now.
How did you put it out there exactly?
just social media posts like, this is the dunk, for example.
Okay, like on Instagram.
And we released it in July, which is peak, we're from Pretoria. So now it's peak winter. It's like selling ice to an Eskimo. It just doesn't work. It was. And now we put it out there, and we still don't know if it's going to last. Like, some people are saying it's a fad. We're just going in here 100%.
So would you say a lot of your job is educating people at the moment on why ice bathing is something they should be doing?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that, but most people think it's for athletes only. Just my general perception, and that's a complete misperception. So first thing I'll try to put across is, like, I came from a sporting background, and I vouch more for the mental benefits and how I feel mentally and compared to physically. Like, sure, recovery is great, but it's such a tiny element of what cold water does. And I don't know, what's your biggest benefit do you see? Like,
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think I feel super happy when I'm finished an ice bath. Like, immediately it's euphoric, like the second I get out. And then
because you survived.
Because I survived, yeah. And then as time passes, I just feel like this general calm, and I just feel good, you know. I know there's some studies, I don't have the numbers in my head right now, but in post I'll put them up. But some studies indicate like dopamine release of like insane amounts, like 200 times.
Yeah, 250 to 500%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. Yeah. Just from an ice bath.
Call it the cocaine effect.
Yeah. Okay.
So, to elaborate on, I'm not sure if you know this, but with cocaine, basically your dopamine spikes. So people also think dopamine is the happy hormone, which is dopamine's more for motivation. So happy hormone's more like serotonin, which you get from like physical touch and sun and whatnot, where dopamine is like you want to go do stuff afterwards and you just feel like ready to go. And then when you get in the ice bath, basically your dopamine is spiking up to 250, 500%, 400%, 500%, whatever it is. And then with cocaine, it crashes a lot sooner. So it's literally like a spark, and then it crashes, and you've got a baseline level of dopamine in your body, right? So with cocaine, obviously it drops below base. So it sparks, you feel euphoric, and then over time it drops below baseline. You go into this depressive state, where with ice baths, it sparks, it lasts up to 4 hours, even longer. And as it drops, it increases your baseline level of dopamine. So over time, you do start doing this consistently, your baseline level of dopamine flowing through your body is increasing. So you literally physiologically becoming a different person.
Wow.
More happy, more motivated, not really happy, but yeah, like you just become a nicer person, or I find I'm a nicer person to be around. And I find I struggle when I travel. Like, for example, when being at the exhibition at VNA for a while, for a few months, I can definitely feel when I haven't been having my ice baths, having my dunks. So for example, it's it becomes addictive and something that I'd recommend, and that's why you need to do it consistently.
To really see the long-term benefits of it. So just coming back to the origin story, so you guys have this prototype, you've now refined it, and you're not necessarily ready to launch it, but you do anyways, because as you said, we're never ready. And I agree with that, by the way, 100%. It's same thing here. Like, when do you launch? All these questions, you just got to do it sometimes.
Exactly.
But you launch on social media, and what is the reception like?
Initially it was, we just tried to find sales, right? Really. But now, because it's so expensive to bring in, we relied on people paying deposits and almost trusting us that we're going to bring this thing in, like we're a new company, we've got one dunk, and that's our unit, that's what we're going to give, and would you like it? Great. Okay, pass the deposits and wait 10 weeks. and a few people trusted us with that, and we delivered to them. One guy in Umhlanga, and he was dunk number one, and we said from listen, you've got lifetime warranty, because you trusted us when we had nothing. We had a concept.
So cool. Yeah.
So whenever there's a upgrade, we will upgrade you for free. Filters.
Wow.
We'll give you filters for free. Pop in here and there, like whatever you need, because you trusted us when we had nothing.
Yeah. Man, that was a good deal, hey, for him.
For him, and he took a gamble.
It's true. Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of the stories, Jeepers, we've come up with 14 miracles that have happened for our business so far. That like 50-50 chance, 50-50 things that just went the right way. So
like what?
For example, when you import something, so we import the components, so the chiller, the bathtub, and then we assemble it. We're not allowed to call ourselves manufacturers. We assemble it in Pretoria, because manufacturers actually make the components. So we assemble the components, we build our own filter system. But now when you import something electrical, the chiller, you need this thing called LOA, basically saying that it's safe to use. And we thought, okay, well, we're going to get a LOA for the chiller, and then the LOA for the bathtub, because there's a LED light. We're gonna leave that. And then what happened? The stuff came in, and Murphy's Law, the chillers got through easy, and the bathtubs got held behind. And now you've got to pay storage fee of $2,000 a day.
Damn. That's
and then the LOA takes 6 months to get.
What does LOA stand for?
Letter of authorization.
Okay.
And it costs about $60,000 to get an LOA, and you got to get it tested in China. Then it got to get it approved here. So the whole process is about 6 months, with $2,000 storage fee, with refunding clients' deposits. It would have completely put us under. And at the border they just didn't see the LED light switch, and the bathtubs got through 2 days later. They inspected 3 of them, and one of my good friends was a freight forwarder, and when he told me I got through, I basically like started crying. It was insane. And that was a 50-50, literally 50-50 decision. It could have gone either way.
Right. And if it went the other way,
it would have been game over. Like Dunk wouldn't have happened.
You weren't aware of this, by the way, but when it started, like you didn't know it would be like this was an unforeseen thing that happened, right?
So we got the LOA for the chiller, but now we didn't know we needed an LOA for a light, like a LED light. Yeah. So now the stuff's on the way, and we're like, well, flip.
What can you do?
Let's hope it gets through. Now we know. I mean, flip, before the Dunk started, we didn't even know what a freight forwarder was.
I have no idea what that is either.
So it's the guys who it's like the shipping agents who bring the stuff from overseas to inside South Africa. And that's the whole thing, is like, you don't know. And then an LOA, you're like, what the heck is an LOA? How do we get an LOA? It took us 2 months to figure out how to get an LOA. And then we figured it out, took it step by step, got the things in, and it's went from there. And then now we even going into product refinement again. We're upgrading our product for this next shipment that's arriving in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's constant refinements, constantly learning.
Would you say being an entrepreneur is stressful?
It's the most stressful place I've ever been in. Yeah. And you?
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
Question: what makes you do it then?
It's so worth it, dude. Like, for example, now we've been delivering. The last 3 weeks have been intense because our shipment arrived. The whole shipment was sold out, as I think I told you when we initially spoke. So our containers have been sold out. That means we need to assemble. We receive it, assemble, and deliver as fast as we can, because they've all been paid for, right? So it doesn't mean, So we've just had 3 weeks of minimal sleep, building. Kudos to Rule, because I'm not the handiest guy in the world, so he's got a lot of patience with me. I've got a few guys helping him, but he carries a team in terms of building. And we finished our delivery last night at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock on a Friday night, I don't know like who else is working on 10 o'clock on Friday night, but it doesn't feel like work. And that's where I think if you get to that point where you're working but it doesn't feel like work, I think you're doing the right thing. You're working on a Saturday. I mean, it's completely fun for us. I was living at the V&A for a few months there doing work, but it's building relationships, it's networking, it just didn't feel like work. So that's what makes me think it's worth it. For example, being able to go for lunch with someone on a Tuesday and not have to have my laptop open, emailing or doing Excel models or that's where before I think we've been so programmed that work is on your laptop doing specific stuff for a client that's your boss, for your boss, where I just wish everyone could feel this freedom that you can control your day, you can control how you're going to spend it, who you want to see. And it's a pro and con, because if you want to sleep in, no one's stopping you. It's just nothing's going to get done. If you want to delay something, no one's stopping you. And
would you say entrepreneurship is for everyone?
No, 100% not. Some people, I think, as you'd know, and I'd love to flip this question to you as well, but I really think you need a level of perseverance that not many people have. For example, that time when the bathtubs got stuck, jeepers, we could have stopped the business right there after, like they came through and be like, no, this isn't for us. The time where the third chiller we brought in wasn't the chiller we envisioned, could have been like, no, this is getting too expensive.
The risk is not worth it.
Yeah, and that people see entrepreneurship as like being this sexy thing that you like. Everyone's making a ton of money. Most of entrepreneurs don't make it. And that's where I think I love our dunk stories. For example, they don't see the time where, so I'm from Pretoria, and the flats I stayed in before I'm in now was called the guardhouse. So it was the guardhouse of the complex that they converted into a flat.
Okay.
That I was paying $3,000 a month rent for. And in October, I hope my family never hears this podcast. In October, I had 100 Rand left in my business, in my bank account. Our business account was zero. I had 100 Rand left in my bank account. So negative 49,900 Rand. So there's overdraft, and then I was down there. And people don't see that side of it, where you literally don't know where you're going. Sure, we've got it like out. And I said to Roelof, like, so I'm a CA, he's a QS, and I said, we one salary away from being back to where we were. And then, for example, just something happened there, and we went for a coffee, and we opened our laptops when we got back to his office. 2 sales, boom, boom, 90K. Suddenly back in business, and then since then it's just been insane. And
question quickly on how did this, so there's 2 questions. One is relating to the dynamic with your co-founder, and the other is relating to so you say not everyone is built to be an entrepreneur. Yes. I agree with that. What do you think made you and Roelof push through that period of time where you were where you had no idea what was going to happen? Like, what made you guys different in that regard? First question. And second one, how do you manage the dynamic? Because I could imagine with a co-founder it must be hard to like figure that out together, you know.
Completely agree. I think the biggest thing if you're starting a business, first is, I think, the idea. Second is who you're going to do it with, because if that relationship, luckily, Roel and my personality, and I've got to know him for the first 3 years while we were consultants, right? But our personalities gel really well together. But we actually like the same personality type on the Enneagram or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so jeepers, I don't think we've had a fight yet, touch wood. We've had like frustrations, but we haven't had an argument yet, which is pretty freaky after doing business together.
Yeah,
for
that's
14
rare.
months. And I think we both know that we put everything in, like absolutely everything into this. I mean, even trained my Bitcoin account for this, which wasn't much, by the way. But so he's got a wife and kids and a house that he needs to look after for. So he's got a lot more responsibility. Where at the time I was single, living in the guardhouse, paying $3,000 a month, I could throw everything at it. And he put a lot of cash in as well, which meant a lot. I mean, we're not coming from like some of our competitors just have unlimited resources, which isn't the case for us. And it's a complete David and Goliath story. So what we base our company off is a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 16 verse 3, which says, commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. And that verse, if you look into it, it says actions first. So commit your actions to the Lord. So first you act, and then the plans will succeed. And we literally based our whole company off that, and we chucked in everything, and we said, God, like, we're acting, please make it work.
On the note of just how tricky business can be, I've got a study here that I want to quickly read you, and then a question that follows. So a study in the GEM found that 17.5% of adults were starting new businesses. This is in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
While only 5.2% own businesses that have been operating for at least 3.5 years. So clearly the failure rate for new businesses is quite high, according to this study. So I'm curious, given the challenging business landscape, what systems do you guys have in place to ensure that Dunk does succeed, given this insane failure rate?
Yeah. Well, I think first off, you need the product that's going to work, right? If you have something that's very short-sighted, I think we're very unique in terms of the product, the timing, and just this market trend at the moment. Like, we can't control that, really. So the one thing we said, we wanted to make the best product possible. So out of everyone, best filtration system, Wi-Fi connectivity. It's portable. It's the most comfortable. We think it looks the best. It cools the fastest. We've like to say we've got the best customer service. I don't know what the other customer service is like, but I'm sure they're good.
You don't test it out.
Yeah, I don't test it out. But in terms of like those aspects, what I've just listed, 6, let's say 6 of the 7. So now, if we weren't the best out of those, I don't think it would. I don't think it would work. And the other products out there are great. Like, they probably will listen to this at some stage. Like, different looks and feels, good products, but that's where we strive to be the best. Most affordable, for example, that's 8. And
so you're focusing on just building the best possible product there is, and that is how you will ensure that you guys don't fail. Because would you say that like a lot of businesses out there don't necessarily understand that concept? They think, okay, if I start this business, I think I understand it, it will likely just succeed. Do you think that they don't really understand that they have to build the best business or the best product in order for it to succeed?
It's tricky. Entrepreneurs are delusional. And I think for example, we always think it's going to work out.
Yeah.
If you looked at our original business plan, or actually, we actually pretty close to it. But looking back at the original business plan last year, May, I mean, completely delusional. And I think you do need to be delusional to think that something like your idea that came up in your head is going to work. But that's what makes it fun, right? So I guess, yeah, I don't think my biggest philosophy is like, give it a go. If it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? We're going to die anyway. No one's going to remember us. And
might as well give it your best shot.
Give it your best shot. I'm guessing you know Alex Hormozy. Oh, dude, I'm going to send you down a rabbit hole. Go look up Alex Hormozy.
Okay, I'm going to pop his name down. So it's Alex?
Alex Hormozy. HORMOZI.
O-M-O?
Z-I.
Z-I. Hormozy, okay.
So, I just sent you down a rabbit hole there.
What's he about?
So he's also an entrepreneur in America. And he's got this whole view as well where it's the same thing. He says, like, everyone's got... So he put a quote out. He said, I think it was a few months ago. So 6 months after the Queen died. And he sent a post and he said, the Queen died 6 months ago. I bet you haven't thought about it twice besides this tweet that I'm putting out. And his whole thing was, she was the most influential person almost in history. Amassed the most amount of wealth, control with the Commonwealth. Probably like, it sounds like a really nice human being as well. Everyone loved her. And so almost like the pinnacle of what you could get, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And she died and you haven't thought about it twice in 6 months. And he was like, do you think people are going to remember you in 100 years time? And that was 6 months after she died, let alone 100 years time or 200 years time. So he's like, no one's going to remember you as much as you think they will. So give it a go. Like, everyone's actually worried about themselves. Like, it sounds very selfish, but it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So now, for example, people want you to do well, but they're always going to be focused on what they've got going on. Mm-hmm. And I think once you've realized that, it almost gives you the freedom to let go and be like, okay, if I've got 100 Rand in my business bank account, besides my immediate family, no one really cares.
Mm-hmm. Is that some of the knowledge that you use to push you through? Like, did you think that?
100%, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, for example, that was the lowest point I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know, like, luckily I can go find a job and go back to where I was. But that's the thing. You can go get another job and build your way up and try again. But it gives no excuse to not give it a full go.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just trusting it's going to work. And that's where like we spoke about perseverance a bit earlier. You just need to keep going, keep knocking on that door.
And Roelof feels the same, your business partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's obviously got a few more lives to be responsible for. And actually now I'm responsible for as well. Mm-hmm. Like, his daughters love them to bits, his wife. Like, we've got to make this work. There's no plan B. Like, plan B is going back to how we were, and everything will work out one way or another.
So, man, I love that. Like, you're convinced there, and that you have to be. Be. That's the idea. On the note, marketing. I just want to touch a little bit on marketing. For our listeners who are looking to get into a business of their own, I just want to give them some real world insight into marketing. So, for your business, Dunk, what is the channels? Like, what is your main focus when it comes to marketing?
So, our main focus was initially Instagram. Mm-hmm. I don't have Facebook, but I think we've got something going on Facebook as well. Mm-hmm. Basically, same posts, and it's all about the target market, right? And then LinkedIn, Google Ads. So,
did you find that your target market was on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How did you figure that out? I know this is not your area of expertise, but I'm still
it's one of the biggest things, and in terms of marketing, it's very different these days, and lots of people are like trying to get freebies and collaborate, and it's a tricky way to figure out how this marketing thing works. Because actually you want, especially when something new is coming into the country and it's a trend, you want to be the first one to pop up when they see. And it took us a while to figure it out, but like how to become the first one to pop up. And then we found a really good...
On Google? Are you referring to
Google?
on
So
Instagram?
Google and Instagram. Okay. And credit to James, who we've used for our digital marketing, FMG Digital. Shout out to you guys. So he helped us get out there with our Instagram ads and Facebook ads, our social media ads. And that's really put the initial boom in place where everyone was saying, Flip, guys, can you just go away? My one client says, I bought your product. You can stop popping up on my social media now. and it's...
Right.
That just shows that it's working. You almost need to just be in people's faces so much that they just always know about you.
When they think ice bath, they think dunk.
Yeah. How did you find out about us?
I believe it was through Google search. Funnily enough, I found a DIY ice chest through Instagram. Okay. Like an ad, some bloke in Johannesburg, it popped up. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Yeah. But then I searched for like ice baths for sale, I believe, in South Africa, and then I found you guys like that, and then through Instagram.
Oh, so through Google, and you typed in ice baths and that popped up.
And that wasn't through a sponsored ad. That was through Google, like search.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's we're still figuring it out. Like I say, it's not my area of expertise, but I trust it's going to work out.
Yeah, Google is, I mean, I think your idea is very Instagrammable. You know, like you guys already do like post people using the product. Do you know a guy called Jordan Ferroni, I believe it is. He's like a ice bath influencer on Instagram. Okay. And I think he's got like 1 million followers right now. And his whole account started like 460 plus days ago. And his goal with the account was, listen, I'm going to take an ice bath every single day, no matter what. And you guys can be along for the journey. And he's legitimately done it. Now, I think he's on day 470 now. Every single day he's in the ice bath, and crazy. He's amounted like 1 million followers. He it's insane. He lives in Canada as well, so it's like snowing outside.
The guy who uses like a hammer and like cracks the ass every morning.
Totally, yeah.
Okay, I think I've seen him.
Yeah, he sledgehammer. Breaks it.
And then does he feed his dog? Is he that dude?
Possibly. I haven't seen that part.
There's always a guy who gets a sledgehammer, breaks it, the layer of ice, and then his dog's always there at like 4 a.m, and he was like,
interesting. So maybe there's another guy.
I think there's a few, but it's very, very interesting. What's your strategy with the whole marketing thing?
In the past, I've always used Google. Like I've always tried to figure out how to rank on Google search. So initially when I start something, I'll use like an ad. I'll just pay for ads. So through Instagram, through Google ads, Facebook ads, so on. But ideally the goal is to get ranking organically on Google. So top 3 search results. If you can get there, I mean, you get so much of the traffic that comes through. And once you're there, it's also free. You're not paying to be there like you would be for an ad. So when I first started my first business, my kite surfing school, it started with...
You did,
this 2015. We paid for ads. I forget like the exact percentages now, but like we would get X amount of customers through ads. But eventually we worked on our organic Google ranking. We eventually ranked number 1, 2, and 3. And the traffic shot up exponentially.
Yes, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Kite surfing school.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I'll see you guys when the wind's blowing. Yeah. Roelof and I were laughing because you brought the dunk onto the beach here for one of our shots.
This beach,
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
With a table and mount on the back, and the wind was pumping. And we thought, these kite surfers are crazy. It's like terrible weather. The wind is pumping, and you guys are like, yes, this is epic. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, but you going back to the point, you use Google Ads with your couchsurfing school, and then
So you asked me about the marketing. Yeah, I use Google Ads to start, then Google search organic. Do you know about SEO?
No.
SEO. So it stands for search engine optimization. I recommend looking into it. Yeah, there's tons of books out there, but the cool thing is you can just research most of it for free these days. I would imagine when you sell a dunk, what is the lifetime value of a dunk customer? Because your product lasts for a very long time, right? Yeah. How are you going to work around, or how are you working with that? What's the goal there?
The lifetime value?
Yeah,
we don't know.
Okay.
We're going to so our product at the moment has a 2-year warranty.
Is that for the entire thing or just the chiller?
Yeah, so the entire thing, but mainly around the chiller, but chiller doesn't work, then the whole thing doesn't work. But at this point in time, we at a point where with our customers, if there's an issue or anything that would happen, we would come and fix it. We're still too new, so we want to establish ourselves as the best out there, and one of those, if something happens, like, we're going to be there as soon as we can. Touch wood, it's been good so far. But yeah, it's a bathtub, it's acrylic bathtub, like that thing lasts forever. So yeah, in terms of lifetime value, it's going to be interesting to see how long this thing lasts. I think it's going to be many years. I think there are going to be different iterations of the product. Like our product in a month's time is going to look very different from our initial dunk that we let out. So we're going to have options, for example, where you can renew your dunk for a couple $1,000. We'll come and swap it. We bring out the extra large version as well. So for a few of the big guys, and
Springboks,
literally, and that's going to be interesting.
Have you got a deal with the Springboks?
I'm not going to say anything.
You're not able.
No,
to.
we're not with the Springbok teams itself, but yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Okay, you're in negotiation phase.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And yeah, it's fun, man. I guess that's the whole thing. So we don't know what the lifetime value is going to be. Some people, even my parents, are like, no, don't do this. This is a fad. It's going to fade out. And we're like, nope, we're going to do it.
You've already mentioned some of your past failures and how you persevered through them. Is there any other standout moments that you can recall where you were like, whoa, in hindsight, if this went, it could have been either way?
Yeah, we've got I've written it down on my notes because we actually want to.
And the idea here is just so, because what I find fascinating is all these potential options for failures, yet still persevering, through those, and then getting to where you will be. It's unique. It's a unique character trait. Not many people are like that. They see failure and they get scared and they'll ditch it and go to the comfort zone again. So I'm just trying to understand your mind.
It's conflicting because we really, it's tough. Like even it's like this week, like there's moments where you're like, it would be so much easier to just go work for someone. And you just got to, it gets super emotional when you slept 4 hours a night for 10 days. It's not sexy anymore. I fell asleep last week standing up in the warehouse.
Seriously?
Yeah. And it's
wow.
Yeah, we're in the warehouse in Pretoria, and it's not sexy. You get when you push yourself to that sort of limit, it's intense. But at the same time, what I'm thinking now is, what would be a cooler story to tell my grandkids when I'm 70? It would definitely be this. Some of the houses we deliver to, people we meet, experiences you have, places you go. It's a epic story, and we're just trying to ride the wave as long as we can. going back to your story in terms of another example of a coincidence, I've got a 13 at this point.
Wow. You actually take notes of them, like you write them
because
down.
it started happening so regularly that we were just like, this is ridiculous. We've got to remember this. So, for example, the next one, which is also linked to the freight forwarder, we were looking at a specific company. I'm not going to mention them. And we were always told that they were very expensive. And it turns out that they subcontract freight forwarders. Mm-hmm. And we basically just cut out the middleman. But if we went with them initially, because we didn't know enough, and what my dad always says, you pay school fees, we would have paid them and we wouldn't have been able to afford it, because a couple 100,000 rand, I didn't have 100 rand in my bank account, let alone a couple 100,000 rand. Mm-hmm. And that's a difference between win or lose, really. And they told us, so with specifically for the chiller, they told us they weren't able to help us with the chiller. And at that point in time, the chillers were waiting to leave China. Like, we needed them to leave to get to our customers. And
people who had ordered and
paid. We needed them to come, and they said, sorry, they can't help us. And after we'd spoken to them for a few weeks before and everything was all good, and they just said, guys, sorry, it's not going to happen. And it's like a moment of devastation.
Do you tell the customers what's happening, or you?
No, you try and make a plan.
Okay, before you.
And then we made a plan 3 hours later. We didn't know what to do. We made a plan 3 hours later. Turned out to be, if they told us that they were able to go ahead, we would have paid them a couple 100,000 rand extra, which we wouldn't have been able to afford in the long run. Instead, we found another plan, which was a couple 100,000 rand cheaper, which worked out more efficient, better customer service, got our chillers faster. And that wouldn't have happened if they said they were able to go ahead. So stuff like that was just completely out of our control.
It's about pivoting, though.
Yeah, it's about the like taking the hits and being like, okay, we're not going that route. We're going to pivot and go another route. Another freakish example was where, for example, we needed to pay for, now the shipments arrived, and we needed to pay for the freight on the spot because it doesn't clear the harbor. We thought we would be able to get some credit terms, and we had to pay it on the spot, and we needed 70,000 rand. Now my bank account is drained, business bank account is drained. Roelof's puts his inheritance money in. Next thing is flipping selling my bakkie, and we realized we had to pay the bathtubs up front. Went for coffee, figured out like, what are we going to do? Arrived back at his house, open up, there's a sale in Bloemfontein, which is our only sale in Bloemfontein. We would have got the money somehow, but it's insane how
it works out.
Yeah, shout out to Zander. So he placed his order, and the amount he paid was the exact amount for the freight,
which was sitting in the harbor, waiting to be released.
And on that, literally open laptop, boom. And then like stuff like I can't control how he found out about us. I can't control, it's complete coincidences. And what happened, why we keep notes like this, and it goes back to our original discussion, is at times you need, like this past week, for example, when you hit tough times, you want to be able to look back on something and be like, there's so many times where it was 50-50 that we were able to pull through, and you can't give up now.
What makes this time any different?
We can't give up now. We've got favor, we've got some blessing over our business that we've got to just trust in it and go for it. I mean, the fact that we're competing against guys with unlimited resources,
that's tough.
And if they listen to this, they can get pissed, but our product's still better. Like, it blows my mind. And it's it's a complete David versus Goliath story, and we just hope like it just keeps going. And that's almost what we want to get our brand out there as well. It's not just the bathtub, it's also trusting Roelof and myself, really. And that's a fun part as well. I see it as,
In hindsight, if you could go back in time with the knowledge you have now to when you started, is there anything you would have done differently?
No, it's been insane. It's been a perfect combination so far in terms of timing, speed of implementation, perfect coincidences. I mean, talk about perfect coincidence. Myself, sales, Roelof, building, Letitia, his wife, marketing, that we don't pay marketing fees. And Roelof obviously has to put something there. But I mean, that perfect coincidence. So then building the product, doing something differently. Yeah, there's obviously a few school fees in terms of paying too much here and too much there, but that's, I mean, you can only look back on it now once you've learned that lesson. It's been fun at this point. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it means if you wouldn't change anything, I kind of understand why you would say you wouldn't. It's because even the things that should have been changed led to a different opportunity.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't have gotten there if you changed it. Exactly. If it didn't go that way. So it does make sense. Where would you say, like, what is the future for Dunk? Where do you see yourselves going? What's your mission?
We want to go international. We want to be the brand that everyone pops up in their mind, especially South Africa. Like, you want to train and have a dunk. You want to kite surf and have a dunk. You want to wake up and have a dunk. You need to, so we want to be on the forefront of everyone's mind in terms of where, like, the brand to be. And there's a few unique brands like that. I feel like Burn Studios have got it really down. Beanbag have got it really down. You don't really want any other speedo. You want a beanbag speedo. And we want to be the point where you don't want any ice bath. You want a dunk. If we can get to that stage, flipping, that's going to be so much fun. And that's I mean, same with you. You've doing podcasts, meeting cool people, hearing interesting stories. At this point in time, we also just want to meet cool people, make new networks. I don't know if you know Grant Cardone. So he's a billionaire in America, and he had a program called Undercover Billionaire, where he goes into a random town and has nothing and needs to build $1 million business in 90 days or whatever it is. And his biggest thing that we learned from that is follow the money. And luckily our clients who we tending to have got a lot of money. And it's making connections like that. For example, already, I'm not going to talk about this next business, but already we've like sort of pivoting from just normal dunking. And it's just from meeting someone. When you meet people with that much money, it's a different mindset, and feel like Cape Town's got it a lot more compared to Pretoria. And like I said, everyone's stuck in this rat race with 9 to 5, earning a certain salary. And I feel like a lot of these people who we're meeting have figured it out, and it's more networking and going from there. So in terms of where I see Dunk going, it's I don't know where it's going to go, but we're just hanging on. And I think it's going to be, if we can meet some cool people, if we can get the brand to be the brand in the forefront of people's minds for ice bathing, it's going to be fun.
This is maybe a somewhat technical question, but I'm just for my own interest. If you take Dunk international, so
when?
No. Well, that as well, but also it sounds okay. You're gonna take Dunk international, cool. But for people who are wanting to take their business international, maybe in the future. How are you going to do that? What does that look like? Like, how do you ship the products? How does that, you know, that?
Well, it's partnering with the right people, right? You need a base to ship it from. Let's say Europe, and luckily Europe it's easy to ship from one place, but we need to get it to Europe, right? And then short answer is we don't know. You gotta figure it out.
Okay.
We'll do one and we'll pay school fees and we'll go from there. But it's partnering with the right people who have done it before. It's partnering with.
Have you heard of ShipBob?
Haven't.
ShipBob. I'm not sure if this would be of interest to you. I don't know if they do big packages, but they're basically a fulfillment center. They've got warehouses in America, in Europe, and I believe Australia as well. ShipBob, yeah. So for example,
B-O-B.
Yeah.
Wow.
For example, let's say I have a e-commerce store. I can have an international website, like a European one, let's say. I can have my products manufactured or assembled, whatever the case may be, in Europe, and then shipped to my ShipBob facility, say in Amsterdam. And then they fulfill the orders. They deliver and everything for you. They package, and it's linked through your like website. But again, I'm not sure if that works for big orders.
Have you done that before?
I haven't done it before, but I'm looking into it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone who does do it, and he also mentioned you actually, is Nick from Mitochondria.
Oh, you know Nick?
Red Light Theory. Yeah, I met with him the other day. Yeah.
He's super interesting, dude.
Yeah.
He's he's a flipping good guy. He had a dunk at V&A, and
true, yeah.
He told me his story, and I was like, what he's doing, living in Bali and Cape Town, but his business is in America, and he's just driving something down from Durban. And I was like, dude, when do you work? And he told me, and I was like, bro, please teach me.
Is he choosing when he works and all that kind of stuff?
Like, teach me, please. Yeah. And he was like, okay. I reached out to him and said, let's go for lunch. I just want to hear a story. Super motivating story, really, and that's perfect example of someone who's got a different way of thinking. And I learned so much from that meeting and
networking.
I mean, flipping good guy. He does red light therapy.
Yes. I want to get one of those as well.
I also want to get one. I think there's a very unique connection with red light therapy and dunking.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, super interesting business model that he has there.
We don't have to get into too much detail about that, but he's doing that, you know. And but again, smaller packages, I would say. But you also want to. But look, when you're international, you can't be doing all the orders yourself. You're gonna have to outsource that at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, this we said, for example, now because we've delivered 20 now in this week. Wow. And we said this is the last time we're doing it. It's fun, but it's intense. So that's and I think that's sort of thing is you got to learn to let go. Especially when you're scaling, you need to learn to trust people, and that's it's been a tough one for us at this stage. Like we still want to do everything ourselves, but there's literally not enough hours in the day, and. Yeah, I mean I'm interested to hear your perspective in terms of how to grow the business in terms of you've obviously got to learn to let go, trust yourself. What would you say?
I'm very similar. Delegate. Learn to be able to delegate tasks. As entrepreneurs or founders, you want to do everything yourself, and I think that works in the beginning. You need to do everything yourself to understand your brand and your product. But there's a time where you have 20 orders a week or more, and you just physically can't. And it's at that point where it's like, okay, my brand can now suffer if I continue to take on everything, or I can do what's right for everyone and delegate, and, actually end up providing probably a better service, because you personally will have more energy, which you can then put into other things. But I want to ask you one last question in closing. For people looking to start their own business, is there any, I know this is quite a broad question, but would there be any advice that you could give them that may help them in their journey to starting whatever idea they have in their head? How can they go from idea in their head to reality?
One step in front of the other. If I had to look at how much work it was to get here, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said no. And I think it's how you're going to eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Just do the next, write up a list for the day and do what you can that day in terms of, first things first, register the company. Once you register the company, get a bank account. Once you get a bank account, deposit money into the bank account, and suddenly you've got something. People really, and I've seen it with so many of my friends, have got this idea, but they never register the company. Then it's easy to back out. As soon as you've registered the company, you've got a bank account, you're paying banking fees, putting money into it, suddenly you've got to do something. One step in front of the other, do what you can, and just action. Action's the main thing.
I like the practicality of that. It's because, again, and I don't feel like you hear this or read this a lot, but it's, how do you want to start a business? Okay, open up a bank account or register the business, open up a bank account, put money into the bank account and commit to that. It's like something so practical that we can all do. But I agree with you. If you don't do those steps, it's not, you can pull out at any stage. Nan, thank you for joining. I appreciate your time, and I'm glad we're gonna. I'm sure we're gonna chat about a few more stuff later.
Thanks, man. It's been an honor. Thanks, dude.
I just want to take a moment to thank Dean. It's not often people share so openly and honestly. It's conversations like this that I find incredibly valuable in life. So thank you, Dean. I look forward to having you on again in the future. And lastly, I just want to make a promise to everyone who watches or listens to the Disrupt podcast. Success isn't just about greatness. It's about consistency. A consistent hard work leads to success. And for me, success means extracting the most valuable insights from my guests and delivering them to you. Stick with me along this journey, and I promise you, the quality of this podcast will only continue to get better. I will work tirelessly to make this podcast the best for you. My goal is to give you free access to knowledge that will help transform your understanding of entrepreneurship and my own, and ultimately, empower you to create something truly remarkable. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listened to this podcast and who continues to listen. I promise to work as hard as I can to bring you only the best content. For those of you who would like to support this podcast right now, all you need to do is subscribe to this channel on YouTube. And if you've got a little bit of extra time, feel free to give me a follow on Instagram at @CoBrown. Thank you.